Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to address you today and to reflect on the International Cancer Imaging Society and its very beginning, which goes back to the 1990s. Our first meeting was held in the year 2000. Looking ahead from that first meeting, I don't think Rodney and I had any idea of how successful and how exciting the whole project would become. Rodney Reznek, Professor Reznek and I have worked together for many years in cancer imaging. And this began with the work we did to establish the very first imaging in oncology textbook. And this was a project which we undertook during the early 1990s. And our first edition, a multi-author textbook, was published in 1998. And while we were working on this book, we really felt that more could be done to spread education of cancer imaging internationally and to advance the specialty. And Rodney came up with the idea of the International Cancer Imaging Society, bringing international experts in cancer imaging together to educate radiologists who perhaps weren't specialists in cancer imaging, but came across it in their everyday radiological practice, and also to advance the specialty, to introduce leading edge practice where appropriate, and to enhance the outcome for patients, of course, being the ultimate goal. So we worked on a project to develop the International Cancer Imaging Society and got together a group of 8 to 10 international experts. And from there, the society was born. And I'd like to say at this point how excited we are that this coming year, ICIS will meet at Singapore with the Singapore Radiological Society and the Singapore College of Radiologists. So Professor Pek Lang Kong is our president this year. I would like to congratulate her on all the work she's done to make this meeting so exciting, and we wish her all the very best for a highly successful and wonderful event. So I'd now like to ask Rodney to join me and say a few words.
Well, thank you very much. As Janet mentioned, the idea really arose in the late 90s, and the idea was threefold. Firstly, to educate and encourage our radiological colleagues that there was a real need to take an interest in the imaging of cancer, particularly to understand many of the issues involved in the management of patients with cancer that perhaps they weren't aware of or we had not been aware of until that time. The second thrust of it was really to try to make it a multidisciplinary meeting, to encourage all those involved in the management of cancer to have an input, partly to encourage them to take an interest in the imaging thereof, but also to inform radiologists and related specialties. And then the third, as was mentioned, is to encourage research. And the initial platform for doing this was firstly an annual teaching meeting, and these have been held in many cities around Europe. And the second aspect was to try to set up what we termed satellite meetings, held jointly with other societies. And these have been held in South Africa, Hong Kong, the Middle East, the United States, and now, as Professor Husband mentioned, we're very gratified to be involved in such a meeting happening in Singapore. The third platform was to set up the journal. The journal initially was made up entirely of review articles, but now has become more genuinely a peer-reviewed journal publishing almost entirely original scientific papers. And I'm delighted to say that it has acquired a remarkably high impact factor, being in the top quartile of all imaging journals, which means that we really are fulfilling that aim. Masterclasses, which are specific hands-on experiences on particular items. And I think it brings me on also to express excitement at the fact that we are holding this joint meeting in Singapore. Many thanks.
So looking ahead to 2024, we both wish you all the very best for a highly successful educational program, which will enhance the outcome for patients in the years to come. Thank you.